This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Welcome back, A.G. Hogan and Ms. Fox and Ms. Dorian. Welcome. A couple of quick questions, probably for Ms. Fox. The Service Fees Act, where it requires remissions, rebates to people who serve where we haven't met their service standards, that was suspended over COVID, I understand. Has that been reestablished? And if so, when? If not, why not?
So I think for the Passport Service Fee Act, I think...
I'm not referring to Passport, but for
I'd have to
immigration.
check which ones of our service fees have a reimbursement attached to them. So I can get that information to the committee, but I don't have it here.
Have we restarted the remission program, or is it still suspended?
Je pense pas qu'on l'a pas. Yeah. I'll have to come back. I don't have the answer on
I'm sorry, how do you not know? This is a major requirement for your department. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, but this is a major thing. It was suspended during COVID. COVID's been over a year. How do you not know as Deputy Minister whether we've reestablished?
I think what I'm saying is we've reestablished the remission order, but I don't have the breakdown of how many programs it applies to.
Could you provide us
when
it was restarted and how many we've processed?
Yeah.
And if the ones that were applied during the COVID, during the suspension, if there's just a hard no on those, and we're not going to refund those at all?
Well, if the remission order was suspended at the time of the delay, then no, there would not be reimbursement.
I'm looking at the GC info base, just about your staffing levels. I understand there was a surge and delays, but there was a 79% increase in your budget from 2018 to 2022, a 39% increase in staffing from 2017 to 2021. Like, how do we have these massive backlogs with a 79% increase in funding and almost a 40% increase in staffing?
Well, I think my answer to that would be demand. Demand has grown exponentially. And so we have more staff and more funding to deliver on a broader program and a greater program.
When you say demand, can you break out the demand for us? Like, is it demand from the PR level, demand from other levels is up 40%?
Yeah, so I think I can...
Is there a straight line between increase in demand and an increase needed in staffing?
I can definitely give you a picture of the increases. So I think as you see in the permanent residency program, the increases in the levels plan are quite... You've got the levels increases from sort of, over the last 10 years. I can tell you that just even in the call center, we saw last year, so email inquiries, phone inquiries, we saw 10.6 million inquiries, and that's compared to 4.6 in 2018. So you see a doubling of inquiries into the call center. So I think in every line of business.
For continual increase then in staffing?
Pardon me?
Do you foresee a continual need for an increase in staffing then?
I think what I would say is we make our case every year through the budget cycle of what we need to deliver on the government's objectives. And I think that we articulated that for this year's levels plan for the PR program. I think that we have grown as an organization, and I think we need to stabilize that growth and execute on the priorities of the department. So I'm not going to say we're never going to increase. If there was a new demand for a new activity, then I wouldn't want to limit ourselves from making that request. But I think that we've...
Are you recording productivity levels comparing in office versus at home? And can you share those with the committee, please?
Yes, we are. We definitely have productivity levels, both in terms of domestic staff, staff abroad, complex cases,
I'm thinking
regular
more
cases.
About staff here in Canada working from home.
Yeah, and we can definitely provide that. And it's important to note that not all processing staff are working from home. Some are in the office, but we can definitely provide that.
Yeah, we do so. What would you, if you look at the report...
Very briefly, Mr. McCauley, please.
Just ask, what's the low-hanging fruit from the report that we can get to right away?
one of the portals, which is being launched December 20th. So definitely that's one that we can get out right away.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
I want to get back to a question about resources. I'm looking again at GC Infobase, and every year your department is lapsing $1 out of every $8 that's approved consistently. Like, what is going on that we're lapsing so much money if we've got such a spike in demand as you've stated? And
So-
is that lapsing affecting the service?
So I think first, I would agree with you that as deputy responsible, we have to pay very close attention to the money that we're spending and the money that we're lapsing. And I think that in the context of sort of some of the monies that we lapsed in previous years would have been due to at times predicting arrivals of Afghan refugees, of Ukrainian arrivals. And so when you create a program that could be, one of the lapses.
I'm going to interrupt you. I get that, but it's consistent year after year. It's not a spike here or there. It's consistent every year that you're lapsing over 12% of your money that has been appropriated.
I think what I would say is I can speak to last year because this is my first year as the deputy here, and so I won't speak to previous lapses. But the lapses that we had can be explained by the pace of arrivals and in the context.
Would you get back to the committee on the past 5 years, what programs have been lapsed for the money that have been approved? You commented to my previous question about staffing, about you're looking to stabilize the growth. Could you expand what you mean by that?
I think what I mean by that is in the context of working through the backlog, we hired a number of people to get through that. And I think it was the right thing to do, and I think that it's led to some examples of results. But the government has also invested into modernizing our platform, and we have investment that we're working through. And what I'm hoping is that through the benefits of some of our modernization investments, we can stabilize the organization so that we can leverage those technologies and not more people.
Stabilizing the growth of the amount of full-time equivalents, or stabilizing the growth of the spending within your department? What specifically were you referring to?
I think it's about stabilizing the growth of FTEs. I think it's about looking at the organization and looking at how modernization can help us deal with the surge in volumes.
There was quite a surge in FTEs. Are they focused on the wrong areas? Like, do you have a certain amount of the growth was focused on permanent residents?
Yeah, so definitely our processing group, like our service delivery organization, did grow. I would say that's where the majority of the growth came from. And then internally, we've made some changes to our structures to allow to put resources towards things that I think are quite key to the organization's success. One example is the creation of the international crisis response sector within our department. We created an Afghan sector to deal with the Afghan crisis, and I think that we need to prepare ourselves for being better positioned to predict and to analyze or to have better line of sight on different crises. So that would be another area that I've invested in.
I'm looking at your management action plan, and one of the criticisms I always have when these plans come forward, not just yours, but every department, is we'll look at stuff years down the road. And then our Auditor General comes in and says 5 years later, 8 years later, nothing was done. There seems to be like a real lack of concrete action here. And I want to read out one specifically. Cross-training of resources and subsequent workload distribution to help maintain relevant processing knowledge, skills, and expertise will continue to take place, ensuring optimally flexibility in the workforce. Global network provides virtual region, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of word salad, but there's not a lot of concrete, we will fix this by this date. There's a lot of, we'll look at options to address a program of recommendations at this date. Why is there like a lack of concrete, we will achieve this recommendation by this date and fix it by this date?
I think the action plan does speak to specific dates, and even within the kind of overall objective, the work plan does speak to the breakdown of when we can achieve what.
It speaks to a lot more of we will present a plan by this date, but not actual achievements. Like if I read through, I don't see a lot of these that will fix the recommendations or achieve the recommendations the AG has provided.
Maybe I can jump in here just to say that we've done since the beginning of this year, and we started years before, but this year has been more active. We're taking the TR, I know we're talking PRs here, but to give capacity in some offices, we're taking more of the TR, the Temporary Resident Program application, and we're moving them into Canada.
A couple of questions just from the Chair's prerogative to help the analysts with the report. The first is for the Auditor General. This is related to recommendation 9.64. Has IRCC adhered to all the requirements under the Directive on Automated Decision Making? If not, could you give us some examples from this? And you're welcome to respond now if you like, which I think is the preference. Please go ahead.
Yes, we did find that IRCC did comply with the requirements, particularly in their quality management of the automated decision-making tool. Our concern was that in using the tool, it wanted to benefit, and in getting into advanced analytics, it wanted all applicants to be able to benefit, but we found that only those that met the criteria to be processed by the tool at that one decision-making point, only they benefited from faster processing times. The shift in reallocating resources to other applicants had not yet taken place.
Thank you very, very much. Next to Ms. Fox, or either of you, this deals with recommendation 9.36. IRCC's anti-racism strategy calls for results for tracking purposes by April 2024. The question we have is, what is the timeline for implementation after the pilot? If you have an answer now, that would suffice. But if you prefer, you're welcome to come back to us as well. But
I think I'd like to maybe talk to the anti-racism task force team, and then I'll come back to the committee.
That's fine. Thank you. And then finally, could you provide the percentage of client satisfaction for permanent residents in fiscal 2022-2023? Again, you're welcome to come back to us with a written answer if you prefer, unless you have
probably written answer.
That's
Thank
what I
you.
thought. So.